So in the last lesson, we looked at the compose function and we discussed function composition. We also looked at setting up a few helper functions. We then curried each function. We then partially applied them inside of our compose. However, one thing we noted was that when we look at the way that our functions are in fact specified, they are in fact passed in a reverse order. Now, a compose function does exactly that. A pipe function does exactly the opposite. Apart from that, there's not really any difference between the two. One calls right to left and the other calls left to right. So what does right to left look like? Right to left looks like this, where we have the furthest to the right, then the middle, and then the left. If we were to create a pipe function, we would actually need to swap these round. So it would look a little bit like this. Now, I don't know about you, but this makes a bit more sense in my head because I can say, okay, my slugify function, if we're calling it down here, first we're going to split, then we're going to map, and then we're going to join. So that's far more easy. It's far more readable. And also if we look down below, we can kind of mirror what we're doing down here when we first looked at using just some of JavaScript's built-in string methods and of course an array method when we get a split array back. Now we don't need any of this, so I'm going to blow that away. We're also going to change our compose function over to a pipe function. Now this is in fact really easy, and the only change that we need to make in here, because we're using reduce right, we don't want to do that anymore. We want to just simply reduce. So we'll save this out and you can see that everything is working perfectly. So that's pretty much it. That is the difference between a compose function and a pipe function. Now, if you've also heard of RxJS, reactive extensions for JavaScript, you will have known that there is a pipe function built into RxJS, which behaves in pretty much the exact same way. We can then import pure functions from RxJS and perform some logical operations on them. RxJS would be the next level up, and of course we have RxJS courses here at Ultimate Courses if you do want to dig deeper. Now this is functional programming. RxJS is what we call reactive functional programming, which takes these concepts into a new paradigm and a new level. Now that's pretty much it in terms of the difference. What I want to do is again just discuss what's happening in our pipe. So here we have our functions. Our functions are now split, map, and join in that order. We then return a new function, which when we call our slugify, this then kicks off our reduce. So the reduce then iterates over each function and it calls the function with the value from the previous function call. And then we reduce things down to just one single value. Now this is a really nice way of just demonstrating some simple function composition. And it's typical that we would in fact use a pipe instead of the compose function. Pipe then allows us to pass things in the order that we like, and it also helps with readability. If we were to perhaps add another method after here, we can just keep piping and piping and piping. So that's it in terms of function pipes and versus function composition. Now with a pipe, we of course use our curry functions, which allows us to then call them as we wish, and pretty much everything else is the same as it was in the previous lesson. So that's a quick difference on compose versus pipe. We'll typically stick with pipe, and we've also discussed how they exist in RxJS as well.